And even now as we're talking, let me talk about a down moment when us guys were doing these missions. And I know there are many. But one of the hardest ones was DNG. DNG, I met DNG, I think it was in 2003 at Nairobi Baptist, just after we did the gig at that car park, if I'm not wrong. And Davey became like my kid brother, man. And we had some great times, man. And man, I have to give a massive shout out going out to Davey's mom. Because Davey's mom, man, she took us in and she treated us as her sons, and she loved on us extremely, bana. It's the one place I knew I could go sleep and wake up in the morning and get sausages for breakfast. Asante sana Mama Davey. That was such a treat, man. But Davey, when he came on, when I met Davey, and when I said Davey, I mean DNG, he had done his song Samehewa. And the first production wasn't good. And I told him, I was like, man, this first production, you need to go and do this song. And Kiki needs to sing your hook.
It is you. The other reason for the remix.
I told him Kiki needs to do your hook. Because I think he was getting frustrated with the other person who had done the song with. And I told him, dude, here's Kiki. She can sing. She's a great artist, great personality. We always do missions with her. She's perfect for her to do the hook for you. So he went back to the studio, and I think he did it with Innovator. And so Davey... And he added the same guys who you are doing missions with. Yes.
Gospel Fathers.
Yes. So Davey, for the remix.
Yes.
So, but there's the first song.
Oh, there's okay, say it. So
before the remix with Gospel Fathers, there's the song that he did with Kiki.
Yes.
Samehewa.
DNG. Wape. Yo. Twende kazi.
Kweli Mungu ananipenda, alinisamehe yote niliyotenda. Usiseme kwamba huwezi kuokoka, kama niliweza wewe utaweza. Kweli Mungu ananipenda, alinisamehe yote niliyotenda. Usiseme kwamba huwezi kuokoka, kama niliweza wewe utaweza.
Raundi hii naimbia Mwenyezi Mungu, namtukuza, namshukuru. Every single day I'm gonna sing for my Jesus. I'm gonna make you know that I'm a new believer. Yes, yo, bado sijamaliza. Brother, tafadhali sikiliza. Mimi sasa niko hapa kutangaza kwamba mshefa nimeona mwangaza.
Kila mtu aweza kuokoka, dhambi zote zaweza samehewa. Mkaribishe Yesu moyoni mwako, muulize asamehe dhambi zako. Kila mtu aweza kuokoka, dhambi zote zaweza samehewa. Mkaribishe Yesu moyoni mwako, muulize asamehe dhambi zako. Kweli Mungu ananipenda, alinisamehe yote niliyotenda. Usiseme kwamba huwezi kuokoka, kama niliweza wewe utaweza. Kweli Mungu ananipenda, alinisamehe yote niliyotenda. Usiseme kwamba huwezi kuokoka, kama niliweza wewe.
But then before the song with Kiki, he had done that same Samehewa jam with someone else. Yes.
That one, no one else has had it apart from you.
I think I still have it. So DNG had come from a very messed up background. Like, he was drinking a lot as a teenager. And if you remember, we used to have someone with us in K-Krew called V.
Yes. Hey, V was such an amazing...
Yes. So V and Davey grew up in Ngomo together, and they were both lost in a world of drugs. So Davey becomes a believer, and his life changes. And part of Davey's crew back in the day, Likuwa Kina Habib and Manga, if you remember. I think they'd all go to the same school together. So Davey becomes a believer, and he's radical for Christ, man. He's so passionate about the gospel. I have not come across guys who are as passionate about the gospel as Davey. And then he would look at his life and look at the life of David in the scriptures and be like, us guys are tuko sambamba mazi. So Davey was very passionate about the gospel. And then God started giving DNG favor.
Insane favor.
Insane favor. Before he got there, he had faced a couple of rejections, man. I remember one time I went to do a mission in Aga Khan High School, which was my former high school. Very secular, man. Day school. You know, guys have no feelings for gospel music. They're like, we don't even know what this music is. Remember, it's still brand new for many guys. And Davey struggled to penetrate into that audience. And then we went to Consolata. Almost broke him, man. because as he's performing, he started to give it his all. Students are were talking, guys are laughing. He walked out of stage before even the song ended, man. You came for that mission, if you remember. But DNG now, God started giving him mad favor, man. We'd go to schools and no one else. I mean, all these chicks would flock to DNG, Vanna.
Yeah.
All these chicks. I mean, we'd go and, you know, now we could sell merchandise in the schools. And Davey would go with his posters and tapes.
Davey also had one of the craziest business minds that I've seen in the gospel industry.
Hands down. Like, you'd go with his tapes and you'd sell out everything. But his album was solid 100%.
My testimony. That's actually the reason I joined Kijiji. I said the guys who've done this album, that's where I'm going.
Yeah. And they did, some of the songs were done by Mandugu Digital.
Yes.
Were they working for Kijiji at that time?
Yes, Ambrose.
Yeah. That's it. So
Mpenzi with Auntie Guta.
Mpenzi, some of these songs are coming out from our conversations as a crew.
No way.
So as he's doing the song Mpenzi, it's because he had seen my love life. You should ask.
Are you serious? This is it. Hey, Moz, you're an OG.
First met you got me looking at you on the eyes, man. It was like I was in another planet where the lilies and palm trees are dancing like a banquet. I was in my own world running around dancing, cause the way you look brought joy to the evening. It got worse when I found myself walking towards you, not in control of my feelings about you, not even knowing how I was going to approach you. Didn't care if I wasn't gonna get dismissed, cause deep inside I had a good feeling about this. Looking at you closely, so warm and so simple, a beautiful smile, got a glimpse of your dimples. This was a movie for sure, it was a sequel. Since the day I met you, put my heart in a prison, life change. You introduced me
But we were very open with how we lived life. 100, man.
Remember, we used to do Bible study at Mamlaka.
At Mamlaka.
So now you and DNG you guys were boys. You are really
100%, man. And so when he went to USIU, I was like, man, I asked him, Davey, are you sure you're ready for this? I was like, yeah, man. Muda niko, he used to call me Muda. He was like, Muda mazemi niko tayari. Muda mi niko ready, man. So I was like, Davey, you know that this place is very secular. And this place will completely test your faith. They don't even allow religious activities in that place. Because my friend Mugash was in that school.
Yep.
And I knew Mugash was trying to get us and all over into USIU to do something. It was a problem.
Nothing.
So I was like, man, Davey, are you sure you're ready for this? He was like, yeah, mi niko tayari, man. Taenda nitawakilisha. My faith will be intact. Bro, within a year, man, his life had been flipped. It had been flipped, man. And So we started seeing less and less of him, and then that story broke out on the pulse. And how, man, that broke me, Bana. That broke me, man, because he had been warned a couple of times. It was like, dude, we know you, man. Stop going to this place that you're going to. But he wouldn't listen. And so watching Davy, how that article tore him apart, was that was a huge downer for me. Because Davy was one of the most influential people that God had allowed us to have in the gospel industry. I was extremely happy to see his progression from being a shy guy on stage to now growing into being Yani, almost full hype man.
Yes.
Remember, he learned the ropes when we were doing the missions.
Frakatas
and things like that. Mikono juu, you know. And now this article completely broke him down 100%, man.
I get it. I have a different perception of DNG. Because I was there at this transition. In fact, I say hip hop, Riga, Michelle, Esther, Giuliani. God created 4 people to replace 1 person, DNG. Because Michelle would reach women, DNG would reach women.
Yes.
Riga would reach the church, DNG would reach the church. Esther would reach English in the world, speaking English, you do that. And Giuliani would do Mta, and DNG had that. So DNG was such, and I remember even going to Nyeri, me and Jugush and DNG for a whole weekend. Just the 3 of us doing a mission there. But the thing that I like about DNG till today, he's not a fence. He's not a guy of the fence.
No, that's something you have to give it to him for.
He's either all in or all out. You get, so he's all in into the secular side, or he's all in into the gospel. And very often you see people in gospel but are on the fence. They're not sold out. TSO, they're not totally sold out. So I like DNG for whatever he's doing in life. He's totally sold out. And
that's the one thing I have to say I respect him for, because he actually told me, Moz, I can't do both. I can't play God in this. Like, I don't want to play him. I'm either in or I'm out. And at this point, Mahaliniko, I don't think I can hack this. And that article, man, I remember him telling me, man, the things that this guy said about me, I see myself going back into that space over and over, and I do not want to put the gospel to shame.
Yeah.
But that was a big blow, I think, in the gospel industry. Big, heavy blow in the gospel industry, man, because God had given DNG such crazy
Let's
favor.
be real, he even won the Kora Awards.
Yes. Yeah, with Samehewa.
He won the Kora Award.
A video that was done so badly, man.
I know, it was
so bad. He even shot in my bedroom. Some scenes.
It was done so badly, but it was also, I mean, you're right, he had favor.
Davy had mad favor. And I remember when he went for the Kora, when he was giving his speech, he was like, man, I prayed for God and asked God, show me your glory. And God showed me his glory. From the story of Moses in the book of Exodus.
Yo. Okay, Moz, let's continue. Yeah, let's continue. Yes, okay, so
06, we go to Moi Forces Academy for missions. And we're there that weekend. It was a challenge weekend. And we were all sleeping, I think, in one of the halls over there, being cooled by mosquitoes, and we were sleeping on the mattresses there. And I bring up this story for a significant reason. So when we were there in 06, I think it was June or July. First, my friends from the US, they came and blessed us with a new sound system. 2 JBL tops, Eon 15s. They were just bloody loud.
So this is the first time you're owning sound?
No, a different sound from the other one that we had.
Oh, yes,
That's easy, portable, can get into the boot, easy, nice and easy.
Quick setup.
So the first mission is Moi Forces Academy. So we're there, snoozing, so we can bond some more with the students. And Lena had been telling me, Moz, there's this boy of mine kutoka Dandora, man. You need to have this guy come and join us. I'm like, who is it? Like, yeah, anaitwa Giuliani, but I couldn't remember his name. So when we were going to Moi Forces Academy, I told Lena, ule mse uniambia kutoka dia anaitwa nani? Mwambia come. So Lena came with Giuliani. So the first time I see Giuliani is a Saturday afternoon. And so Giuliani comes with that crocheted disco feels. He's a big ice hockey t-shirt, jeans, and some Timberland boots. So Juliani comes. Of course, he just walked from home because he's from D and MFA is not far. So Juliani comes, and Esther is on stage. And Juliani is flowing with you word for word every song that you're singing. Ask him, hey Mazi, Juliano Jongo Mazi umsaniambia, yani I look up to Esther bana. He's like, Mazi mupenda ngoma za Esther. Yani umse unijenga. Umse unijenga, you know what he does. So I'm like, man, are you ready to go on stage? So he goes on stage, and the first jump that he does, ndio maana na magoti.
Oh yes.
Ndio maana na magoti. And then after that he does Jesus Gnosis. And I had no idea what God was setting us up for, man.
Oh, so uzuri, I had a relationship with Nani Lena Jogsi Kitambo to somehow to Phase 4, and also Kaberere we had a relationship through Faisal. So I used to meet whatever. So they told me, hey, jioni to come, nikaenda nikachukua ma tracksuit zangu, I can't forget it, ya red. Na nyingine stripes hivi. Ilikuwa my Sunday best, bro. Na
the Marvin as usual.
Na the Marvin ka kawaida, na I had some Tims. So watu wajui by Tims ilikuwa na I had to put some karatasi ndani ndio fit. Because I really like my shoes. So my shoes, ubaya Tims ikiwa bigi inachora ma line hapa. So I used to hate those lines. So I used to put something ya ku zika. And I used to clean them, man. Hey, they come. Lion Jugush, my Forces Academy. Buddha. So first of all, I get in. Ule mrembo anaitwaje? Kuna Sheila na kuna Kiki. I fell in love. I fell in love with Kiki. Wow, Kiki akanihug na niko na majasho, man. Hey, Kiki alinihug. I fell in love immediately na Kiki. But I didn't tell her. So I used to, alikuwa ananiongelesha na smile tu. Na smile tu yani. Kiki was beautiful. And she was popular then. She has beautiful voice.
She has Nyongoze. She sang on DNG song.
Hey, man. I love DNG ni superstar. So DNG anaka mingi baadaye.
Anamaliza show.
Na masidi. Kinda. Na matape.
Yeah, na matape.
And then Sheila, we have Sheila, and then some other chicks. Velma.
Velma, yeah.
Hey, Velma alikuwa noisy, but Velma alikuwa so warm.
Yeah.
And like she was just...
She's not a musician, but she was just the crew.
She was just there, she was just warm. So, nimeona akina Lena, that's good. But warembo up on the side. And then they recognize who I am. It's a different crowd, bro. So everybody started singing Afrakata happening. Hey, Buddha, Afrakata, kids. And then alafu ni Moi Forces, so ni all men. All men na mabase. Any men. It's hot even inside. Ilikuwa ni weekend challenge, so people are there for a couple of days.
Yes.
And then I was introduced to you. Ama, I was introduced to you later. No, I got into a room. You were there. And then you just released Close Your Eyes. And Close Your Eyes ilikuwa na rotation ingine heavy sana.
In fact, me I was so confused because when I performed Close Your Eyes, nasikia msee ana rap the words.
Close Your Eyes was big. I used to listen to it. So next to my mom's place, me na Aturu na another guy, we used to have a place where tunauza maziwa. So hii maziwa kupima. So we used to listen to it like the whole time. Tukisikiza Hope. Since nimeokoka sasa na mimi nasikizia tu Hope. Hope FM. And then I get to the room, you're there, and zaidi ya mziki, and these guys are so, like, there's a beautiful vibe around that place, yani.
Yeah.
And these people are Christians, but they are young, and the way they behave is you just want to be around them.
Yeah.
The closest I've ever been to that is, of course, Uko Flani Momao. But at the same time, now when I'm in this space, I'm not a stranger. I'm not the guy who used to be at the corner who has to prove himself. Now I'm recognized as Juliani. So I have a voice. But pia mimi ni mpole tu kivyangu hapo. people play. Nyinyi ndio mko sasa mashop stop, so mnamaliza show baadaye. So me, I was in the middle. And then what happened? DJ Moz akaniitisha instrumental. Buddha, you know what has been happening before that time? I was getting ready to release an album. So I had instrumentals due producer Mgani from where I just sent me. So I used to practice every day. I used to have like a couple of songs. I used to practice every day. Kumbe, I was ready for this
for the moment.
Bro. And then I got on stage. I killed it. I killed it. Buddha, niliperform, bro. Niliperform. And then wanaume.
Yeah, exactly.
And then now the wanaume, they understand the lyrics. They understand the punchlines. Una punch, una rap, una punch. Uko juu. Buddha, nililala home. Nilikuwa satisfied as yani sikuwa najua yani I performed with all my heart. I did a couple of songs.
Yep, nakumbuka.
It was supposed to be one song and two, because there was sets, so you have to do 5 minutes, and people had one songs. But it seems this crowd was mine.
Exactly. This crowd was yours. In fact, this was my first time on this side of the highway.
Exactly.
It was my first time.
So this was my crowd. So I was like, wow. I was given more time. On stage. I performed more songs.
But also, in that time, it was the first time we were seeing you in K-Krew. So there was you are the new guy who gets excited to hear
and totally different from everybody else.
Exactly.
And of course, like in a Jogsi and whatever, were fans. Yeah. They really love my stuff, and Moz loved it. Jugushi ndia kwangi, atujuangi ako happy, but Moz really loved hip hop.
Yeah.
That God was hooking us up with one of the best lyricists, wordplay artists ever in our country. There is no, I do not care what guys say, Juliani is the best hip hop artist that we have in this region.
Yep.
I mean, he has a crazy wordplay.
Yeah, his wordplay is insane.
He's ridiculously sharp. Najua yeye sema kwa daru mimi sikuwa mse wa crossword, lakini mimi nilikuwa mse wa cross na word. But I sit down and I listen to Juliani's lyrics, I'm like, this guy is wise, man.
And you liked hip hop. I stopped being Mo's favorite rapper that day. I stopped being the guy who sat on the passenger seat.
Hey, you guys.
And uko nyuma na speakers.
Juliani
buka hapa.
No. You're both very, let me tell you, man. The difference.
And there's also Riga.
Yeah? There's also Riga. So I got introduced to Riga
through DNG, because they did the song Anzatena. Yes.
What? Nilifanya vitu mingi mbaya na Yesu kanisamehea sasa mimi nimeanza tena Jesus, forgive me for my sins, forgive me for what I've done, very many bad things, forgive me for the things that I've done to the chicks, playing the chicks, mistreating the chicks, doing the things that we see in the clips, straying the chicks and slaying the chicks, whether in the streets or up in the gigs, was a really bad boy, just showing them the tricks, sanctify, sijuini semeate, so siku, nilikuwa misijali, kawatenda magala, nikaha wafai, kavyomboge kutumikiwa kama karai, wao wanalia nami nimefurahi, misifiti, minasema waze mwani zamani nilishatoka pale, hayo ni sasa mudhini ya awale, nilifanya vitu mingi mbaya, na Yesu kanisamehea, sasa mimi nimeanza tena,
Girl, I'm tired of the lies that I told and the tricks that I pulled. They were getting really old really fast. You be thinking that the time that we spent was the last. When you look to the past, I went against the thoughts of the master. We were going faster and faster to destruction and disaster. Your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit.
And I was like, DNG, who's this guy called, who's done this song with you, Anzatena? It was like, it's Riga. That time Riga was, I think, was a student, man.
Yeah, he was young.
I was like, I can't wait to meet this guy. So whenever we started doing missions, every now and then when Riga was available after high school, he'd come and join us. And then Riga goes on and releases the jam,
Ibada
Yangu, with Cheesy. I mean, now, do you get what I mean in terms of the content of music?
So you are beginning to see the... Yes, I understand what you're saying about the...
Think about Ibada Yangu.
Uh-huh.
It's being done in, you know, it's about my life being a lifestyle of worship to God, being done in Swahili, in English, French. Alafu there's Cheesy and there's Atemi.
Yes.
Be careful of your doctrine, it determines who you reach. Usiku na mchana nitaimba na kupenda kwa moyo wangu wote. Kucha kutwa na kupenda. Hey. Maneno tupu si ibada yangu, ni moyo wangu wote. Maisha yangu ni ibada yangu. Hey. Siku na mchana nitaimba na kupenda kwa moyo wangu wote. Kucha kutwa na kupenda. Hey. Maneno tupu si ibada yangu, ni moyo wangu wote. Maisha yangu ni ibada yangu. Hey. So no, the interesting thing about this next part is a whole bunch of you will not understand what I'm going to be saying, because I did this song first in Swahili, then in English, and because that was around the time when I cleared high school, and after high school people did French classes, I wrote a verse in French. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Quant à Dieu, d'après sa volonté, je sais, il souhaite tout le monde serait sanctifié en sacrifice vivant pour être saint. Ça c'est la clé d'un bon rapport avec le Créateur, pas la religion. Tout puissant, il n'est pas loin, il est près de toi. Il est intime, si tu veux, si vous voudrez, il va manger avec toi. Ouvre la porte, il va entrer sans équivoque, c'est la vérité. Jésus, if you truly worship him, then God will bless you. There's more to it, better love one another. If you love God, then you will love your brother. Hata jirani yanayekufa hafai kudai. Sisi tukijua dawa ya uhai. Why lie? We don't know how to worship, you reveal it. The only way to worship is in truth and in spirit. Nakupa roho yangu, pokea utukufu. Nafsi yangu Baba, nakupa wewe. Nakupa roho yangu, pokea utukufu. Nafsi yangu Baba, nakupa wewe. Like the old days, I'm gonna need you to clap with me, so here we go. Nakupa roho yangu, pokea utukufu. Nafsi yangu Baba, nakupa wewe. Very nice. One more time. Nakupa roho yangu, pokea utukufu. Nafsi yangu Baba, nakupa wewe. Usiku na mchana nitaimba na kupenda kwa moyo wangu wote. Kucha kutwa na kupenda. Hey. Maneno tupu si ibada yangu, ni moyo wangu wote. Maisha yangu ni ibada yangu. Hey.
My tongue.
My tongue. It
Talk to
blessed and it
James,
cursed
yes.
at the same time.
Yeah, I understand. So you were experiencing the transformation of gospel, hip hop becoming what you're listening to.
Yes.
Now the La Craze, but then now it becoming that Kenyan.
Kenyan.
Locally, I hate that word, but
it's fine.
It's fine.
It's local.
It's local.
Ours.
Yes, yeah.
It's ours, man. That was such an amazing moment, man.
And let me say, that day changed Giuliani's life.
Completely.
He even says it. He says that day he got a new family. Because Giuliani was like me and he was like you. He was looking for a Christian family to belong in. Not that he didn't have one in Laiti, but a musical Christian family that was totally sold out for Christ.
Yes. And I remember...
He moved into your digs, dude.
Oh, bro. That was some of the best moments, man. That's when he was writing his album, Ta Mentality.
Hey, Moz, you've been... Yep.
So one time... So I started dating this girl. She's Scottish.
This one.
Look at her, man. And in 2008, let me fast forward a bit now.
Hold on, at this time you've not gone to TV yet.
I've not gone to TV yet. We're now just doing our high school missions and doing the radios.
Okay.
But then a new platform had opened up in 2007.
Called?
Homeboys Radio. I joined them and I started doing 2 shows on Homeboys Radio. One on Thursday nights, crossover. And on Sunday nights, crossover. I think I used to call it Reloaded. And I used to do it with, you'll not even believe with who. With Mark Masai on Thursdays and Sundays. And then after he left, Michelle Kwambo.
You guy. Hold on. Before your media, I think there's one story that I want to bring you back to. Chillage.
Oh, man. Chillage of the Village. We said that in 2004.
Talk about that, because that was, again, very radical. You see, Moz, your story is a story of pioneering things. Because explain to people what Chillage of the Village was.
So Chillage of the Village, how it was birthed was... So we have all these guys who become believers. So I put myself in that space where, how was my life before I became a believer? I was a guy of the rave. So I was in that secular space DJing. And so the thing was, when we get saved, then what happens? There's this radical change in our life. But then Friday nights we used to have a good time. So what happens now to Friday nights? They become boring. So the thing was, what happens to these young adults who are getting saved? How can we be able to continue and encourage them in the faith so they don't go back to the dundying world? You get? But now they can continue having a reason why they can stay in the faith. They have a place that they can believe they're all their unbelieving friends as well. That's how Chillage started. And we made sure it was strictly 21 years and above. To give the young adults an opportunity where they can hang out without necessarily the youngins coming and being in that space. So what had happened was, at Village Market, so I knew Village Market was funky, and I liked the setup that they had at Village Market. So I'd met the guy who was in charge of entertainment there, and his name is John Maranda, a good friend of mine till today. So I went and had several conversations with John. John introduced me to the owners of Village Market, the father and the sons who were managing the place. So I went and I bonded with the 3 of them, and I shared with them, this is what we want to do. Can you guys allow us to come here every last Friday of the month to do a gig, and we're going to bring our new audience to you guys? And the sons were like, yeah, let's do it, man. Crazy. We like what it is that you're talking about. Bring them. So we started Chillage at the Village at Village Market.
Yep. I should close your eyes there.
Ah, yes, you did. Yes, you did. No, you should close your eyes at...
Chillage in Village Market.
Was it at Village Market?
Yep. In fact, it was at a Chillage.
It was at Sikiliza, at the entrance to Club Sikiliza.
Yep.
That we had taken over the club and started doing gospel gigs there.
Yep.
Oh, man.
In fact, when DJ Kev also came back from US, he came to retire. That's where he officially had his last night as a DJ.
Man.
And then now to go into doing Groove Awards.
Man, Kev. I love this Jamal, man.
That's crazy.
So,
so I mean, I just needed to touch on Chillage just to show people that you also pioneered in terms of clubbing, Christian clubbing.
And you know that Chillage at the Village was so fantastic because we only used to do it on every last Friday of the month till midnight.
Yep.
And then we'd organize transport for guys to be taken back home. So we'd get mathris to come and take guys home, and guys would pay them. Alafu unapelekwa hadi mtaani kwenu.
Yep.
So if you're a guy from Jammu, or from Doni, or from Buru, unapelekwa na mathiri hadi mtaani kwenu. So that was quite dope, man. And so saying in 2000, let me go back to the Giuliani story. So in 2005, after I came back, we did a gig. I was part of Nairobi Chapel, and we were planning to do. I was in Nairobi Baptist, but I used to have a lot of conversation with guys of Nairobi Chapel. So with Pastor Kiamu and there's a guy who was there working with Pastor Kiama before. We're talking about how we can do a young adults ministry. And so we decided to do a gig for the young adults. And I think I just organized to get Village Market for them. So while I was away, the plans continued for this thing to happen. So one of the things actually that started when I was away was keeping it real. Keeping it real now became Mavuno Downtown. Part of the guys who were behind Keeping It Real was Pastor Kiama, Mark Kyoko, but then a very fresh Scottish lady called Deborah Kimathi. Now, at that time she was Deborah Ruth Ross. So, so when I came back, of course now plans had happened, so we're going to do a gig now at Village Market. So they came to pick me up at home. So when they came to pick me up at the digs, to go for the gig now at Village Market. So I got in the car and there was this Jungu chick. But she had a very Kenyan accent. I'm like, why is this American chick talking like a Kenyan? Onge tu kizungu yao tu ya Americano. But I was very wrong because she was not American. So I had judged her wrongly. But then actually all her friends were Kenyans. All her girlfriends were Kenyans. Madem tu amta. So that's why when you talk to my wife, she's like, eh. It's Jungu talks and says, eh. But anyway, so 3 years later now, we've been dating now. So I had to go and ask for her hand from her dad in marriage. So when I went and I did that, and that's a story for another. We can have that as a different segment. I don't talk about Giuliani. So I went to visit Jal in that same trip.
So now you go to States.
So no, this is in the UK.
I mean, you go to the UK, sorry.
I go to the UK. You know, now I'm going to ask Debs' hand in marriage from her dad. So you need to know first, when Jal did his first album, let me recap kidogo. When Jal did his first album, it had a song called Gua. So Jal brought his whole album to me when I was at Metro. He wanted to push another hip-hop song. And I was like, Jal, the song that you need to be playing is Gua. The song I'm going to play on radio is Gua.
Why didn't you play All You Need?
Because Gua was the jam.
I'm the one who produced All You Need.
I'm sorry, man. Gua was the jam.
I would be far more, man.
Gua was the jam. And let me tell you, man, so I told Jal, I don't care about the other songs that you push. I'm going to play Gua for you because I think this is a song that's different from all the rest of the jams that you've done. So I started playing Gua. I was the only guy who was playing Gua. Somehow BBC picked it up. BBC picked it up. BBC came to interview Jal because of Gua. So as they're interviewing Jal, they're like, we need to interview DJ Moz. So they called me up and they asked me, why did you start playing Jal's song Gua? And I told them why. I thought it's a deep song. It's a fantastic song. That song is what was being sung during the independence of South Sudan. Gua.
What?
We went to Kakuma to do missions in Kakuma in Turkana because of that song Gua, to shoot that video. One of the best experiences ever.
Dude, that song opened up Jal to the point where he was singing on Nelson Mandela's birthday.
So from that interview with BBC, it led to another interview with, there's a big media house in the US.
Sky.
Huh? No, in the now this is in the US. In the UK it's BBC now that's run his interview. In the UK there's the
US now.
Yes, I can see it. The US Today. I think there's a paper called that. It's a big newspaper. So they also picked up that story and they interviewed Jal. And they called me for the same interview as well.
What?
And so, because I was the only guy who was playing Jal's music.
Yeah.
And so whenever Jal would give an interview, Jal would always say, and Moz, the guy who's played my songs and the guy who made me push this song, he refused to play all the other songs on my album, but he chose the song Gua, is Moz, and he's the one who pushed me to sing the song Gua whenever I'm performing.
So of course now they want you. Why did you do this?
Yes, especially for a refugee kid. My first mission to Brookhouse was through Jal. I say all this because Jal and I became tight. So Jal goes to the UK. So now I went to ask for Debs' hand in marriage in the UK from her dad.
So by the time Jal explained to people why Jal is now in the UK, because he's a big deal now.
Now he's a big deal.
He's been signed by, I don't know, the record labels
yes,
there.
He's been taken up by a record label in the UK. He's become a big deal. He's working on his next album now.
And with not with small people.
No.
We're talking, is it Sting or somebody like that?
Yes. And if you remember, that album of his, War Child, one of the best songs ever. One of his songs was featured in a soundtrack.
Yes, the Diamond one.
The Diamond one, yes.
Black Diamonds.
The one that was done in Liberia, in Sierra Leone.
Yes.
It was featured in that soundtrack. So now Jal is blowing up and is doing all these gigs around. So when I went to the UK to ask for Debs' hand, so once I finished that, given permission by the dad, we went to England. Debs was doing her master's degree at that time. So she went to attend class, and I asked Jal, hey Jal, can we come and stay with you? You know, as Debs is going to do her, for that 1 week that she needed to visit her class in London, University of London, can we come and stay with you? You know, so, and Jal was like, of course, you know.
Happy to see you, bro.
Dude.
Yeah.
So we got to go hang out. And there are a couple of CDs that are taken with me. 2 CDs. Atemi and singles from Giuliani. So in our conversations, we're sitting down and Jal is like, Moz, man, God has blessed me, man. And I want to bless people at home. Which artist would you like me to sign and just give them a big push in their career? I said, these 2 people, Atemi and Giuliani. He was like, are you sure? I was like, Jal, Giuliani is your guy.
Yeah.
Are you sure? I was like, Jal, listen to this guy. Play these songs. Play these songs again. Play these songs again. We might have a whole week of hanging out.
Do you know what else you played for him? He had recorded something with the Journey of at Mamlaka.
Yes.
The live gig. That live gig, yes.
So that whole week, man, I told Jal, dude, I mean, they're the 2 people I pushed.
What?
They're the 2 people I pushed.
What do you know I'm saying? Usiku wa manane, 2 a.m. Ada Alcatel. Nukan mifunga na rubber band. I love this story every time. And the number was so long that I couldn't see the end. Just Illuminati, I'm saying. I picked the phone call. Who calls? Emmanuel Jal. I didn't sleep. Buddha, I didn't sleep. Kesho yake nikaenda mkutano na Pastor Albon. Kusema kweli mimi kwanza leo nimemake it sawa. I'm joking. I'm joking. Mimi kwanza leo mseyani. I made it. Mimi nimeget call from UK. Emmanuel Jal called me, bro. When Emmanuel Jal called, he told me everything. Next day, nikatuma email. He sent me a letter of intent.
So what did he tell you on that phone call? Let guys know now, because now it's part of history.
Aliniambia, nimeona performance yako. Performance ya? Vina na maana UN. And I've been looking for an artist, a Kenyan artist.
Boss, do you know nani ali-upload hiyo kitu? Ebu kati yangu iko wapi?
No, there's 2 stories. There's what you uploaded, but at that particular time,
DVD.
I had DVDs I was selling.
Oh yes, I remember.
So you know what happened?
Your DVD limfika.
Moz.
Oh yes.
Moz had it in his backpack, sijui wapi. And he gave Jal.
What? Yes.
DJ Moz. That's why I mean DJ Moz.
Yeah.
Nanjugush as much as. Buddha, my life was designed, I'm saying.
So Jal calls you and tells you, I love this man.
I've never seen such. I want you in my label. And that time he was launching Gatuch Records.
Gatuch, yes.
He was signed, so he was needed to sign artists. So the first nini, I want a new album. Hey, Jal aliniongea big. I said, we'll do a tour. We'll get a truck. We'll get a bus with your name. Hey, it was visible in my eyes.
I would say he's one of the biggest artists in
Jal was
this time
big.
huge.
Mandela, Live 8.
Exactly.
Nani. And previously, Jal came for Totally Sold Out ile ilikuwa Parklands. And he performed. I can never forget. Alikuwa na Kemi, one of the ladies alikuwa anaitwa Kemi. Alikuwa na dread, alikuwa na kasata. Yeah. He performed and then he had that backpack and then Jal was Jal, bro. Jal was Jal. And I saw him then, but we never connected. Baadaye ananipigia. Before I know it, letter of intent. What do? Nika call David Kuria. That time David Kuria was doing moafrica.com. Nikatambia bako huko kwake. Kamba buda mimi nimemake it sawa. Nataka manager. Yeah. Nataka manager. And of course, David Kuria did the contract for me. We agreed 10% or 15%.
But the first proper deal I had was with Giuliani.
Okay, let's tell us about the Giuliani story.
So Giuliani was a part of hip hop, and that was you guys, you and Riga, and those guys, Bupe, and who was D and Shiro.
Mayonde Michelle.
Mayonde Michelle, and you guys had a show. I don't know if it was your show or you were taking part in a show at Kenyan National Theatre. And Giuliani decided he didn't want to come for that show. And he came to my office. And I remember I sat and he actually sat on the floor, I'll never forget, right next to me. And we had I don't know why he was sitting on the floor, I can't remember. We had a long conversation about him and whatnot. And I convinced him, he went for the gig eventually.
That was Riga's album launch.
Oh yes, that's what it was, absolutely.
The Awakening.
The Awakening.
Yeah.
And
he finally came.
And he finally came. Riga, you're welcome. But
he came at the end completely.
But he threw down.
Yeah.
I remember that. But I remember thereafter, then we just began conversations. What happened with him is that then he got into conversations with Emmanuel Jal. And Emmanuel Jal at the time was, I remember Emmanuel Jal because when I did radio very briefly. I don't talk about this at family radio, family FM.
Yeah.
Very briefly.
Morning show.
In and out.
Lunch show, evening.
I did a lunch show. And I remember meeting Jal at about that season. And I didn't know that he'd become Emmanuel Jal. But Emmanuel Jal goes to UK, he starts up a record label, Gatwich Records, and he wants to sign Giuliani. And Giuliani I think he didn't have the, he needed a little bit of help with those types of conversations, some of the more official conversations, contracts and whatnot. It's not because I had all the experience in the world, but I knew which doors to knock on. And what happened with Giuliani is we're able to look at the contract, make amendments to the contract and whatnot, and then I became his manager. Giuliani, let me tell you, I have such admiration and such respect for Giuliani. Giuliani is a hard worker. That's the one thing I appreciated about this guy. This guy would come to my house and he'd have like a songbook, and he's written like 30 songs. I'm like, what are you doing with 30 songs? You know what I mean? Like, and he'd say, I'm going to write 5 more tonight, and he'd go do it. And his work ethic for me, first, that's what sold me. Because let me tell you, I've been asked by many artists. Last year, there's an artist who reached out to me and said, I need an artist manager because, I'm not a hustler, I'm not very disciplined. I was like, my guy, shred. But Giuliani for me was very disciplined. He was, so this is what we did with Giuliani. We did strategy for Giuliani. I think it probably was the two of us. I don't know if anybody else was involved. And this was the first time we had done this. Before Giuliani went to the record, to the studio, we mapped out the entire record. We mapped it out in terms of, we said, here are the producers we want on the record. Our initial pick was Tim Rimbui. It's called Innovator. Innovator Music at the time. We went to see him, he was unavailable. He had a big project, I think with Warner Brothers.
Yes.
At the time, and he couldn't work on it. We were like, okay, no worries. We went back and we sat, and let me tell you, we wrote down.
And when Jal later on
comes back,
takes Giuliani.
Jal is literally the person who financed Mta Mentality.
Completely. And if you see that album, the photos done by Emmanuel Jambo.
Yeah. That album had various producers. Giuliani got a manager, David Kuria.
Yes.
he got the funding to do videos.
Yep.
It's because Jal financed that album. It Gatwich Records.
Yep. That's it, Gatwich Records.
Gatwich Records.
Yes.
And it's because DJ Moz hooked the guy up.
Bro, me, I'm a believer of Giuliani 100%.
Yo.
100%. So Giuliani, at that time, was staying with us. And he was also staying at Albo's house.
Yes. Pastor Albo,
Pastor Albo.
he was at Nairobi Chapel at the time.
Nairobi Chapel youth pastor. So, man, I remember us guys having Bible studies on Thursday nights, if you remember. You guys would come to our crib, and my house had no furniture. And we would spend, first my sis would cook tea for us, and then we'd buy bread. And there was you, Kiki, Sheila, 501, Zaidi Mziki, and Zaidi Mziki alone were like 100 guys.
Yeah.
When you compare the amount of food that they cooler.
Kaberere at least lived across the road.
Kaberere lived down there.
Jugush.
But we would all congregate. And Sheila was also a neighbor.
Oh, okay.
And we would all meet in my house for a time of prayer every Thursday night. Linda, LC, would all meet at our digs on Thursday nights for a time of prayer and reading the Bible and having a good time. Man, I would remember Giuliani, man. Crying on the wall and just... Whatever he was praying, God had that prayer, man.
Okay, Moz. Yani, I love how what I'm hearing from you that probably you don't know, but now you should be totally aware of it. You're a gatekeeper. People who pass through you open up the gates for them to go and do more or to thrive. So they come and they step on your shoulders and stand on them, and then after that go. Myself, I remember even having the conversation with you and telling you, my time at K-Krew is over. It's time for me to do hip-hop.
Yes.
I'm copying what you're doing, but me, I want to go to the Barbies.
Yes, it was very clear.
Yeah, I kept telling you, I want to go to the Brook houses, I want to go to the Brabants, I want to go Braysides. You get, but I'm taking this exact thing that is being done here, as we just need to do it with a live band. And at that time, no one was doing
it.
Live band hip-hop.
You guys, the hip-hop was such a tight. You guys should have never finished that, man. I guess seasons.
Yes, but
it was such a tight gig.
But also, I'm hearing you've done this for... Guys don't know Johnny Celeb. In fact, Johnny Celeb got the name Johnny Celeb because of in the name of the Jesus video.
Yes.
But Johnny Celeb came under you as a DJ to go then and thrive, Kim and succeed, as you're saying, K24.
I met Celeb, sorry, not to cut you short.
Cut me short.
We'd gone for a mission to Kangemi High School. And the guy who had invited us for that mission was Johnny Celeb. And I think I had met Johnny Celeb when he was in Form 2, if I'm not wrong. Celeb, you can confirm, I could be very wrong. And so we just kept talking, and Celeb invited us to his high school, and the opportunity came to go for a mission there. And remember, I grew up in Kangemi, and this Kangemi High School was right next to our digs in Kangemi. And so it was for me, it gave me a lot of memories about going back to my hood. But then at the same time, a key thing for me was meeting Johnny Celeb. Because then after he finished high school, Celeb started coming to our house in Waroko to hang out.
Yeah.
And you just walk from Kawangware, where he used to live. Alikuwa tu unavuka mtu anakuja mtaani.
Yep.
You know, and just a very fresh, sharp guy. Celeb is one of the sharpest guys you'll ever come across, by the way. Brilliant mind. Brilliant thinker, man. I love having conversations with him. So, Celeb Celeb is such a fresh guy. And having Celeb come in to join us, the beauty of it was knowing that this guy, we've worked with him since high school.
Yep.
He's come, joined us, immediately after high school. He wants to be a DJ. That's what he wants to do. He starts going to college, KU, but he's still DJing. He's still doing missions with us.
That's crazy.
And we start doing TV. And
even before TV, I think the expansion of K-Krew. K-Krew is such a school, because what happened now, and I'll give from my perspective, K-Krew started doing more than one the demand grew. Yeah. So now you're doing 3 high schools at the same time.
Yep.
So you're going with celeb.
Yep.
And hip hop, you sending us as hip hop to go. You are doing your own missions, and Jugush is doing his own missions, all at once, but as K-Krew.
I don't even know how we used to hack those things, man.
Because I remember the first school that you just told me, Richie, you're the one who has to go and do this one, because us guys at this one was State House Girls. You have to MC, you have to do everything. You have to do everything, because us guys at Alliance, because Challenge Weekends, K-Krew became the default school to call.
Wow.
So just to show the kind of expansion and the demand that was happening, and at the same time, the gospel music industry is exploding.
Yes. Now this time, Yani, it's the fire, man. This fire has started. Fire has started, man. And let me tell you one thing about what had happened way earlier on during our very initial stages. I remember we had tried knocking on doors for corporates. Now we're doing these gigs, and thousands of young people are coming. And we talk to guys like Coca-Cola, would you guys be willing to come on board? And they'll be like, no, we're not interested in that space. And I remember Oscar was getting frustrated, and I told Oscar, even radio stations at that time. So I remember telling Oscar, man, Oscar, don't worry. The time is going to come when these guys will come looking for us. For us, right now, let's just focus on what we need to do. But the time will come when these guys will come looking for us. So now the gospel music industry has started shaking, man.
You're not on TV yet?
We're not on TV yet.
Good. Yeah.
No, we're not on TV yet, man. This is now...
TV is a story on its own.
Yeah. So in 2006, we do TSO again.
This December. Time at Nairobi Baptist.
At Nairobi Chapel. So Nairobi Chapel.
When it was on Ngong Road.
They'd gone to Ngong Road, Impala Grounds.